You know those memes that started coming out a while back? The ones where the guy says he's a boyfriend for rent? Yeah, those were hilarious. But turned out that was a real thing. Or maybe it became a real thing after the meme. I can't be sure. But long story short, I ended up being one. A guy who charged girls to take them out on dates and pretend to be their boyfriend for a couple hours. Hi, I'm Kyle. And one time, my sister hired me to play the part of her boyfriend. But before I tell you more, remember to hit like, subscribe, and click that notification bell icon to show your support for me. We weren't rich, but we weren't poor either. My family was in the social class where we weren't struggling to make ends meet, but if I wanted something nice like a gaming computer, I'd have to pick up a shift or two somewhere. It was when I was thinking about applying to med school that I'd heard about the boyfriend for hire thing. At first, I laughed it off. Boyfriend for hire? What kind of loser would do that for some spare cash? Turns out, those losers were making a good bit of money. So, I was also that kind of loser. It wasn't illegal. It wasn't bad. Pretty much every girl, or even boy, who called to hire me was just in need of someone to talk to spend time with, or to introduce their judgy friends. Holidays were the best. If I was smart about how to schedule my bookings, I made a pretty decent living. Okay, I made a ton of money. As it happens, a great many girls and boys who aren't thrilled about being single on holidays would pay handsomely to have some stranger pretend to be their loved one for a few hours. The best thing was, I usually got to tuck into some quality grub from fancy restaurants as a happy consequence. At the rate I was going, I had just about enough to pay for my first year of med school. After almost a year of being signed up to the app I'd been using, I'd seen it all. I've had clients who wanted me to pretend to be Christian, Jewish, or Muslim so they could convince their parents that they were dating as they wanted. And some wanted to vent or have a shoulder to cry on. Some even just wanted to see what it felt like to have a full-on argument that ended in a devastating breakup before Valentine's. "You're not getting fuffles!" yelled Mary, one of my stranger clients one day as she acted out her part in our pretend lovers' quarrel. To be fair, I'm more of a cat person, so if in fact any of it was real, I wouldn't be fighting to keep her bulgy-eyed chihuahua that smelled of old farts. But I played to her cue nonetheless. "That's not for you to decide," I protested. "I think Fuffles should make his own decisions. Come, Fuffles, come to Daddy. You don't want to stay with this evil demon lady, do you?" Having only known me for the past hour, Fuffles merely growled at me and ran to her mom. At that, Mary shot me a satisfied smirk. "See," she said proudly, "Fuffles likes me. He wants to stay with me." I grunted in response. "Fine, you deserve each other." I honestly meant that line when I said it. And with that, Mary pushed me out of her apartment and slammed the door on my face. A concerned neighbor popped out of his apartment and asked, "You alright, bro?" I nodded at him with a smile, barely even paying attention as I opened up the notification I got from my app. 5 stars from Mary. I smiled as I texted her, "See you next week." I decided to call it a day, thinking I should probably save my energy for the next morning, being that it was Valentine's Day, and that it was probably the busiest day for my boyfriend for hire gigs, followed only by Christmas. But as I got into my Uber, my phone beeped another notification. I wasn't even planning on replying, but when I read her message, something about it caught me off guard. She seemed really sad, and something about her words made me want to help her out. At that moment, I didn't feel like I was doing it just for money. When I read Trixie's request, it felt personal. It felt like I'd known her forever and that I owed it to her to be there. So, without thinking about it and without even bothering to check her profile, I accepted the gig. Even if I did check her out first, I wouldn't have been able to see what she looked like. The app doesn't require the clients to submit a picture, just in case some freelancers became choosy about the gigs they took on. I accepted that gig because of a gut feeling. Or maybe it was the fact that my sister had the same name, and she was going through something similar as the Trixie on the app. To be quite honest, I should have seen it coming. I popped back home for a shower. I changed into fancier clothes and wore my best perfume. And then, I headed on over to the restaurant where Trixie wanted to meet me. I had a bit of trouble trying to find her. She said she was going to be wearing a little black dress. And if you've ever been to a nice restaurant the night before Valentine's, you'd know just how many girls are there in little black dresses. I got a glimpse of someone I recognized immediately, and so I made my way to her. If she was going to be late, might as well hang out with my sister before she got there. "Trix!" I called out. At the sound of her name, my sister spun around her seat towards my voice. "Kyle!" she exclaimed. "What are you doing here?" Her voice sounded like she was happy to see me, but her face looked like she was a bit ashamed about something. She quickly glanced around the restaurant as if she was looking for someone. "Oh, just here to meet a girl. Funny thing, her name's Trixie." "Huh. Weird," said my sister. And then, when she thought about it for another second, she added, "Wait. Ugh, oh, that's kinda gross. You're going out with the same name as me? Ew, dump her." Trixie laughed. Nobody else knew that I was freelancing as a boyfriend for hire. And at that moment, I just felt like I could tell my sister anything. So I blurted out, "Well, okay. Don't laugh, but I'm not really dating her. It's just like a service of some sort. Boyfriend for hire. Ever heard of it?" I said as I showed her the app. That was when my sister's face drained of all color and her mouth fell open. She closed and opened it a few more times, and she looked like a goldfish gasping for air. "Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Oh no, 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 no," she said. Okay, my sister's weird, but even for her, the way she was acting was really weird. So I asked, "Oh no, what?" She answered me by showing me the app on her phone, and I froze. Cold sweat ran down my face. I felt like I was going to be sick. So I sat down. No. No, 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 no. Why are you sitting down at my table? Oh, this is weird. No! Go away! She exclaimed. "Why are you on the app?" was all I could manage as I stared out into the distance, unable to make eye contact. "You know why?" she said, visibly uncomfortable about answering the question. I regretted my decision to leave my profile picture blank, and the fact that I'd been using an alias. When I started, the air of mystery really helped, and since I'd been receiving pretty good reviews, most people who just stumbled on my profile felt safe enough to actually book me. Besides, I wasn't exactly sure I wanted everyone to know I was on there. I wasn't ashamed of it or anything. I just didn't want any of my friends to get in on it and take my clients away. But now, being mistakenly booked by my own sister really made me wish I'd at least posted one photo. When she'd calmed down, Trixie finally said, "I mean, you're already here. And I took a shower for this, so..." I gulped. She straightened her dress and sat back down. "Just sit down and have dinner with me. I know I booked you for 4 hours. "Ew," I interrupted. "Don't ever say those words to me ever again." I let out a nervous chuckle as I sat with her. Trixie gave me a smirk and continued. "I know I booked you for 4 hours, but you don't have to come with me to the movies. Let's just eat. And then you can go home. I promise. I'll give you 5 stars, and I'll delete the app so this never happens again." "Oh, you bet this is never, ever gonna happen again," I said with a chuckle. But when I saw the pain in my sister's eyes, that was when the awkwardness disappeared for me. See, Trixie's husband was a doctor. Derek was the best guy you'll ever meet. Selfless and kind and always a good laugh. If I was being honest, he was probably most of the reason why I wanted to go into med school myself. I kinda idolized the guy, and if I could be just a little bit like him, that would make me feel like I'd done something right. A few months ago, Derek went on a medical mission in the jungles of Africa. he was never heard from again. And that would have been the first Valentine's that my sister was going to spend without him. Every year they would go out the night before the holiday, watch a movie, and then spend all Valentine's Day in talking about their plans for the future and what pets they were going to adopt. I couldn't even begin to imagine what that kind of loss must feel like. So, I put on the best smile I could manage. And as if being on a mock date with my sister wasn't as awkward a situation I could imagine was, I flagged down a nearby waiter and told him, "Give us the best stuff on the menu. We're celebrating tonight." I handed the guy my card, making sure that I was the one paying for everything. Trixie loosened up. She relaxed and gave me a smile as if to say, thanks. We had dinner, dessert, and talked about Derek. We celebrated the things we remembered about him. We laughed about the time he followed some lady out of the grocery store and to her car, thinking it was my sister because he couldn't see past the towering bags of food he was carrying. Trixie cried, and I comforted her. I took her to the movies just like Derek used to, and we watched the same movie they always watched on that day. When the night ended, I took her home and we had coffee. I offered to sleep on her couch to keep her company. She sniffed and thanked me. In the morning, I woke up and made her breakfast. And when I said goodbye, Trixie hugged me tight and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you." I knew she was crying again. I could feel her tears on my shirt. I was just glad I could be there for my sister. And from that day on, I saw my side hustle in a whole nother light.